Hey, what's up, guys? It's Robin, and this is Rob's the FPR, and it's deadline day and deadline reactions. I'm playing my wild card, and at the time of recording, it's now 10:30. It means it's an hour and a half before the deadline, and the video is gonna come out with an hour before the deadline. So it's a lot of late reactions, but the reason for that is all of the news about the Brazilian squad, and that throwing uncertainty in certain plans. There was a time period in my wild card where I wanted Rafinha in, and then I had to take him out because of the Brazilian thing. So now I'm not sure if I should put him back in or how my plans forward are going to look. I wanted to have Son in my wildcard because he started really well, but now his injury news puts a hindrance in him for the next couple of weeks. And I can't go forward with someone that's got an injury that looks like he's going to keep him out. And that's what the press conference with Nuno, it seemed like Son is definitely not going to play this weekend. So that's a big no-no in my wildcard team. So I had to make some changes. But very quickly, let's have a recap of game week 3. And as you can see over here, it didn't really end very well. 48 points for the week, game week rank of 5 million. It was not a pretty picture. And as you can see, the big reason for that is I had no Antonio. I was way too late to jump on the Antonio bus, and most people captained him and got 11 points. I kept with my thing of having Danny Ings, who played against Brentford, which is not a bad thing. As you can see, Wilson got 9 points. Antonio was not expecting to do so well, but still got 6. So my front line, in theory, wasn't a bad call. Antonio's just been absolutely excellent. And I thought, surely not. Surely can't do it for 3 games in a row. Let me just stick patient with Ings while he's playing against Brentford. That was my thinking. I tried to bring in Benrahma to jump into some sort of the West Ham train, but also it didn't pay off for me. All of a sudden, Benrahma's form drops after the first 2 games. So it was really not the best for me. I captained Fernandes, who blanked. Any of these changes could have made a massive difference. Captaining Salah, bringing in Antonio, all of that could have pushed me really up because the ownership of Antonio was so high. Not having him was a very big thing. So that's okay. 2 points to 6 million mid against Tottenham. You're not going to expect that much from him. Luke Ayling, it's a tough one with him. Leeds' defense has been quite bad, and against Burnley I expected them to do much better on the defensive end. But at least he plays 90 minutes, so that's something that had me hooked. And after the first game week where he scored, after the whole of last season not getting any goals or assists, I was positive. I thought, listen, Luke Ayling will have a bit more offensive outputs, and maybe Leeds' defense from last season that ended so well can also keep it going this season. So yeah, but a bad cause can be bad cause. Luke Shaw with 6 points is not bad, but as you can see, I didn't have Trent. Sure, Trent didn't have the best game week 3, but all in all, he was really good. I had Tsimikas, who started really good for the first 2 games, but unfortunately he lost his team spot, and that was always expected. Lewis Dunk did alright, but for 5 million, you want something a bit more premium, and with their fixtures coming up, it's not looking too great with the likes of Leicester, Arsenal, and City, Liverpool. It's not as good as compared to some of the other players which you'll see now in my wildcard team. So that was my team for game week 3. Not the best, but you take what you can, and you have to adjust. That is why I'm playing a game week 3 wildcard to go into game week 4. I rushed the season over the international break with all the injuries and all the late news, but I need to make an instant impact to push myself back up. I need to have an excellent week now. So let's quickly jump straight into what my team is looking for, my transfer plans. So as you can see, a wholesale changes. The only people that kept their spots, Sanchez, White, Saw, Salah, and Van Foster, for what that means. But all in all, completely changed up. I brought in Trent, 7.5 million. I brought in Semedo, similar to what Lewis Dunk was, but fixtures for Wolves are very hard to ignore, all the way up until even game week 14. Sure, they've got like Everton in there, but that's not even that big of a match. So up to game week 14, there's maybe West Ham and Everton, possibly Leeds, who are really good on offense too, that could put a really big doubt in the clean sheet. But every other game, I'm not saying they will keep a clean sheet, but they're playing against much weaker opponents than they are, and they should stand a good chance for Semedo to keep clean sheets and getting attacking returns as the right wing back at Wolves. There's a lot of things thinking in my mind to get Traore in, and when I had Son in my team, Traore was there, but now since I dropped Son, you move the funds around to other people, such as Jota, who wasn't initially in my team, but now came in with the news of Firmino being injured. So there's a lot of decisions to be made, but I'm really, really happy with this team. I'm generally going to play a 3 at the back, and for the beginning, Trent has got a really good running of 3 fixtures. Semedo and White, excellent run in. And then Duffy and Livramento will be my bench players, but they both play 90 minutes these first 3 games. And there's some game weeks in there where I'm going to need them to step up to maybe replace someone in the likes of White or Semedo when they have a worse fixture. Like game week 6 when White is playing in Spurs, that's not ideal. Let's go to Duffy. In game week 6 they're playing Crystal Palace. So there's a very good turning point and a very good swapping where their fixtures really play out for my defense. So I'm very happy with that defensive line, and I'll explain to you really why I think it's crucial in a second with future transfer plans. But I'm playing a wildcard now. I can't go and play another wildcard in a couple of weeks. So this really has to set me up for the beginning of the season. And it's quite nerve-wracking actually. For a long time I wanted to have Son, Salah and Ronaldo as my big 3 in the big 3 hitters. But since then I've taken Son out and spread the funds more around to the likes of Calvert-Lewin and Jota. Something in the back of my mind still says I want to try to get 3 big hitters, because having the likes of Salah, maybe even De Bruyne and Ronaldo in your team looks really, really threatening. But for now I'm just going to stick with trying to spread the funds, and then if I see De Bruyne is actually properly fit and properly back, and you need De Bruyne and Salah's form is really on top, then I might look to bring him in. The spot of the striker, you have to have a premium striker at the moment. The likes of Ronaldo and the likes of Lukaku and Harry Kane, you have 3 top strikers, so you need to have a premium spot. The reason I was looking for Son or Kevin De Bruyne is because Salah is someone that is probably going to play and be in the team the whole season long. There's no real run of fixtures that look like you have to take him out for that period. Yes, they're playing City, game off United, which don't look ideal, but around those 2 fixtures, it's such easy fixtures with Crystal Palace, Brentford, Watford and Brighton. For him, you can't drop him for those 2 game weeks that are spread apart. There is no run of fixtures that look really, really tough for him. If you have the likes of Chelsea at the moment, whose fixtures do look quite tough for that period over there, you might want to wait for game week 5 and 6. News of James being suspended and Lukaku maybe being injured. I think it's been cleared and he will start. But you want them in from that game week 7 to 11 because they have a consistent run. And if you look similar to Man United, they have a consistent bad run coming in where it's almost an automatic swap where you can take Ronaldo to Lukaku from game week 7 up until game week 11 or 13. That period over there is really tough for United, and it's really good for Chelsea. So their transfer and their swapping is really, really good. Their fixtures match up almost identically. So that's why having a Ronaldo to Lukaku swap is good to have in mind, but not so much to have a Salah to De Bruyne swap, because both of their fixtures are more spread out throughout the season. So you can't say these 2 or these 4 weeks I can't have him. So that's why I'm trying to look into getting a 3rd big hitter. And in theory, I can do it. It'll take Torres out, obviously, because De Bruyne will be the focal point if Torres is not playing. And I've got a feeling if De Bruyne comes back in, they're not really going to drop Grealish. They're not really going to drop Gundogan. They're not really going to drop Foden when he's fully fit. So De Bruyne is most likely to play that false 9 position that he played a lot of times last season alongside Bernardo Silva in the false 9 position, where now he's probably can play it with full Foden or even Grealish. So I don't know if Torres is going to keep his place long term, and I think that's the worry for most people. But let's quickly just play it out and see what this could look like. De Bruyne. In. So now I'm trying to think, okay, money needs to be spread. Let's say Calvert-Lewin is out. I only have 11 left. So these are going to be 4.5 and 4.5 players. What can be 4.5 and 5.5? Let's quickly get the cheapest guy in there. 4.5. No. 6.5 left. So you can have the likes of Traore. Now it's a starting lineup of Salah, De Bruyne, Traore and Saar as a 4, Antonio and Ronaldo as a front 2, and then you have Trent, Semedo, White, and then either Duffy or Livramento based on fixtures, that could look really, really threatening. But my big worry is De Bruyne probably won't start. And if he doesn't start against Leicester, with the Chelsea and Liverpool fixtures looming, taking such a big risk is probably not the best move to make. I think Jota, for these 3 games where Firmino probably will be out and they do have really, really good fixtures, is probably vital. Torres in really, really good form, scored 2 in the last game, scored in the international break, and Leicester and Southampton are really good fixtures for City. I feel like he will outperform De Bruyne in the next 2 game weeks. Could be very wrong when De Bruyne goes crazy today and starts. But for this very moment, I feel like this combination of Jota and Torres over De Bruyne and Traore is probably a better combination, even though the value is not as much there, and long term probably not. But Traore is inconsistent. What other 6.5 million players are there? Rafinha is really good. Sorry, I completely took him out of my plans after the Brazilian Bargo and stuff like that. But yeah, that's also a really good option. De Bruyne and Rafinha versus Jota and Torres. And then obviously Dominic Calvert-Lewin is the 4 guy to bring in De Bruyne. But in my starting lineup, it will very much be Jota, Torres, and Calvert-Lewin versus De Bruyne, Rafinha, and another defender to play, such as Duffy. To spread the funds better, to make it easier to get maybe the likes of Bamford and Jimenez, I think it's quite important to keep the price tag of those attackers, and then you can switch over from one of them. If Antonio gets an injury after 4 weeks, what do you do then when Europa League starts and he starts playing too many games? Then you can quickly switch over to the likes of Bamford. We can drop him completely with the likes of Davis to then activate that triple swap of De Bruyne to get him into your team. But I'm rambling on a little bit. This is the team that I feel like is a big, big threat and should push me up. Saar is in there for the next 4 game weeks. Really, really excellent. You got Liverpool and Everton, which aren't ideal. But if after those 4 game weeks I see he is still struggling and I have a transfer remaining, there is the likes of Traore who I can swap towards. So I'm not too worried about him. Someone I really like. He's a focal point for Watford. And I really, really like his play. Torres, Jota, amazing form. And it looks like they're going to be starting for the next game. 2, 3, maybe game weeks. Salah, must have. Ronaldo, must have. Don't have to talk too much about them. This run of fixtures for Ronaldo, Newcastle, West Ham, and Aston Villa all look extremely shaky in defense. And Ronaldo, with all the hype, probably going to be on penalties. I think it's a must-have. You don't want to not have him for Newcastle at home. And there's a slight risk of playing him as your captain because Salah versus Leeds looks so good. But Leeds away with all the fans back in, are Liverpool going to run riots again against Leeds like they've done before? Or is Leeds going to shut up shop a little bit more? So there is some worry in that sense too. I believe Ronaldo is probably going to be my captaincy pick. Antonio and Calvert-Lewin. Yes, they say there's got a muscle injury on Calvert-Lewin, but apparently that's been going on long term and he's been playing throughout it the whole time anyway. So he'll probably play throughout it too, and he's also had a bit of time to rest now with the international break. So having the fixtures of Burnley, Aston Villa and Norwich for Calvert-Lewin is excellent. I'm only looking at this moment very much for the next 4 game weeks for my attackers. I need instant impact. Yes, defenders, it's more long term with the likes of White. Really, really good fixtures for the next 7 weeks, 8 weeks. Semedo, I showed you earlier, the same. Livramento and Duffy have good fixtures in every now and then, and they can move in and out every now and then. And I'm sticking with Sanchez. He was really good last season. Hasn't performed that much yet, but I can't get myself to spend more than 4.5 on a goalkeeper, and he seems like he's the only real option consistently. I trust him way more than I trust Daniel Bachmann. So yeah, that's the conversation, and those are the decisions I have to make. It's now exactly 10 to 11, so there's an hour and 10 minutes before the deadline closes. This is my team at the moment. The De Bruyne thing, as I'm a City fan and I know De Bruyne's quality, I want him in my team. But having the spread of Jota, Torres and Calvert-Lewin is going to make the team better. So I have less reliance on 6 million midfielders and have more of this premium mid-priced. So these are mid-priced, but then you jump up to the likes of Jota, Greenwood, Torres. Having 2 of those will be better than just having the 6 million guys. So let's see what happens. It's a very, very tough call that I'm thinking now. Rafinha, De Bruyne. But let's quickly go to how I'll be starting for this week. This is my fixed in, locked in game week 4 starting 11. Watford, Semedo versus Watford, Trent versus Leeds, White versus Norwich, and Sanchez versus Brentford. Excellent fixtures for my defense. Torres, Jota, Salah, and Saar, all playing in really, really good fixtures. Leeds defensively have looked shaky so far. Could do better, but let's hope that they don't, and Jota and Salah can both bang a couple goals. Saar is really good. Wolves at home. Yes, Wolves has looked good in the first 3 games, but they've lost all 3 if we have to be honest with ourselves. And Saar has looked threatening, especially in game week 1 against Villa, so hopefully he can get on the end of anything. And Torres against Leicester, City has been unstoppable in the last 2 games. Back-to-back 5-0 wins. Can Torres keep up his form? I surely hope so. Calvert-Lewin against Burnley, Antonio against Southampton, and Ronaldo against Newcastle. If I had to literally pick out of a hat or write down which 3 defenses I would want to come up against at this very moment, it would probably be these 3 defenses. Burnley aren't looking exactly as solid as they have in previous times. Especially last season, the defense was not as good as they have in seasons gone by. Southampton look quite shaky, and Newcastle look quite shaky. And all 3 of these guys are in red hot form. Ronaldo scored 2 goals over the international break. These guys are in red hot form, and I'm quite happy with it. And Duffy playing against Brentford on the bench, that's a really good bench player that you can rely on. So I'm going to stick with this. I'm going to give it a go. Only real plans I have in the future is for the game week 7 swing of going for a double transfer, probably of Ronaldo out for Lukaku and then Semedo out for Reece James. So that million I spare from Ronaldo to Lukaku can go straight to Semedo, and their fixtures look really, really good. So Semedo for the next 3 weeks, let's see what he can do against Watford, Brentford and Southampton. Yes, Newcastle, Aston Villa and Leeds are probably good too, so I'll still make a call if Semedo is the guy to go. But at this moment with funds and the way it's balanced, that is probably what I'm looking to do. Possibly in game week 5 or 6, I'll make a swap to get Rafinha in instead of Torres or Jota as a precursor to the plan of getting De Bruyne, and that will free up some funds that I can eventually maybe even take White to James and then Ronaldo out. So let's, for example, say Torres goes out, that spares me 0.6 million. Ronaldo goes out, that spares me $1 million. That's 1.6. Putting that on White, that means I've got 6 million budget, and I can easily then swap out White for one of the other guys. Or Duffy or Livramento. If you can look at that quickly, just to make sure the math is working out. I know there can be price falls, but this is the long-term play for game week 7 or 8. That doesn't look too bad. So for the swing, you need to get the Chelsea players in. And Reece James is one of the big guys, and Lukaku is one of the other big guys. And then you have exactly 6.6 left. So the precursor move, as I said, is Rafinha in. So yes, I don't want Rafinha right now for Liverpool, but this run of fixtures over here, 7 to 10, I might want him. So I'll give it a game or 2 games. After the next 2 games between Jota and Torres, which one looks more likely to lose their spot and whose form is worse? The one whose form is worse, bring in Rafinha, and then save the other transfers for the double transfer to bring in the Chelsea boys for game week 7, Chelsea, Lukaku and James. And then you have a team running through of James, Semedo and Arnold, Trent, who's got really, really good fixtures, with White also having good fixtures, and the team looks really, really stacked. And what that allows me to do with the stacked defense is then move to getting Calvert-Lewin out, Jota out. Eventually I'm playing the long game, but that's what you have to do when you're getting and playing your, where is he now? There he is, sorry. What you have to do when you're playing the long game. So there I've got 4 million. So I'm still 0.5 short. So that's going to be some decisions to make. But we'll get there when we get there. 0.5 short to get to Davis. So maybe it will end up being Traore here instead of Rafinha. And his fixtures also look really good with Wolves. So I'll still see, I'll still decide. We'll see what happens. But this, let's go back to it quickly. This is my deadline day reaction, my deadline day. It's team. An hour left to go. I'm going to put this out as soon as possible. Probably be live in 45 minutes. Not going to really edit this at all. A live take, see what my thinking is. I probably mumbled and fumbled some of my words. But that's what you have it. Live reaction is basically like a live stream. You're getting the raw feel and the raw thinking straight away with an hour to go and all the thinking and everything that's going on in my mind. But what I want to do. But I'm going to stick with my research. I'm going to stick with what I've been researching over the last 2 weeks and trying to build out a more spread, consistent team. And I feel like I'm very happy with this. And this is my way forward to getting up in a massive green arrow. I need to get back up in the first top million. That is the number one thing for me. Ronaldo, captain at home, hopefully starts and hopefully bangs a goal. It's going to be really exciting to see. A lot of really good fixtures coming up today. Crystal Palace and Spurs to start off, and then all of these fixtures banged in together. I'm probably going to have 2 screens on, busy watching City and United at the same time. Chelsea playing against Villa. Could be a big game for Chelsea. Then Leeds, Liverpool, and Everton and Burnley. Exciting games for Sunday and Monday. But yes, enjoy the weekend, enjoy the footy, and I'll see you guys for reactions on Tuesday. After the Everton and Burnley game, when the game week is finished, I'll release a new video on Tuesday reacting to how my team worked out and how my wildcard actually played out. But otherwise, all the best. Don't panic too much and have fun. See you guys soon.